All right. Well, welcome to the team talk tonight. We're going to talk about how to invite to events. And as the moderator, I'm going to maybe I'm playing a role or maybe this is really for real, that I have a hard time getting people to events. Does anybody else have that problem? Anybody wish you could get more people to events?
Yes.
We work so hard at events. They're so good and we know the value of them. But sometimes we have, even if we have 3 people, we know, our upline, they're real nice all the time. They'll be like, that's great, you had 3 people. But sometimes we'll have 2, 1, sometimes we'll have 0. And no matter what, it seems like, man, what if we had 10 or 20 people at the event? What if we could do even better? So I'm always looking for ways to do it better. But I know, as I look on, I attend some of these events, and I notice patterns forming. And some of you guys have a little bit more success, or even if we just brainstorm a little bit, maybe we can get some good ideas going. So we're going to, start off just throwing it out there to some of our local experts. I'm going to start with Karen Orlowski, because when we have live events, it's kind of out of control. I mean, she's always reserving a full row, no matter what, and there's gift bags, the whole deal. So, Karen, tell us, what is your strategy? How do you do it?
I stalk people. I don't know. Honestly, I do have a lot of people that I can call just from all the events that I have done in the past. But years ago, before we really texted, it used to take me a long time because I would go through my notebook and literally call every single person. If it's a local event, and I know I've left Voxer messages on this, but if it's a local event and something like the Total Wine event, I don't call everybody because I think that people do get annoyed if you call too much. So I focus on the people like in Coral Springs or the city that's in. But when we have the, Dr. Sears and Dr. Susan Silberstein and some of the really big speakers, I mean, all bets are off. I'm calling everybody from Miami all the way up to, West Palm Beach, wherever I have people, because those events are just powerful enough. And I try to call people as much as I can. Sometimes it's really hard. I mean, I've got kids like so many of you guys, and I'm relying on the texting. I do send out an email. I get very little back from email, but every now and then I will get, a couple of people that will actually reply from email. And it's something that they haven't replied in maybe a year or 2, but all of a sudden this event, for whatever it is, has, hit them, and that's what they want to see, because you just don't know what people are interested in, whether it's the fitness or the, cancer prevention or whatever. So you have to keep reaching out to them. Everybody's schedules, everybody's busy too. All of a sudden, maybe they're not busy. But so for the Total Wine event tomorrow night, I mean, today was the first day of school. I did pick the kids up early, and we went out to dinner. We saw the eclipse, went out to dinner, and I wanted to spend time with them. But for the last 2 hours, I was sitting making phone calls for the Total Wine event tomorrow night, and retexting people again. And I left a lot of messages. I don't know whether those people are going to show up, but you have to, it comes back to the call, send, call that we talk about in the DMO, where you've got to try and call them. I don't always call them first, but I will try and do an email. I'll try and do a text, and I definitely always try and call. And sometimes if you don't have time to actually physically call on the phone, you can do a Facebook Messenger where you're talking, and you can also do talking text. I love for people to hear my voice and hear the excitement, because I don't feel like a text, comes across that way. And I think that to me is the most important way when you're reaching out to people and they can hear your excitement about the event.
Cool. So Jules asked a question. So Karen, on average, how many people would you have to call or text to get 10 people to an event?
Oh my gosh. I mean, well over 100. And I want to say it to be disappointing, but like there was one event, I think it was Dr. Sears, where I actually had 25 people that said they were going to go. And, I'm like, this is amazing. Well, by the time the night comes, we all know that people cancel. And so my struggle is, I do text and I remind, and I'm calling them and reminding them. And then all of a sudden, the day of, and I think it's what Doug said, people don't realize how good these events are. I think they feel like, oh, this is nice. It's going to be a little health talk. I don't think they realize how impactful this is going to be on their health. And so, I mean, it's still amazing because I might have a dozen people there, but that's half of what I thought because they're all canceling bam, bam, bam that day. So if you want to get people there, you have to way over invite.
So, and everybody, you can text your questions into the chat, and I'll kind of moderate it. Another follow up on that, Karen, is if when you do call and they don't answer, and you get an answering machine, what do you do?
I leave. So I've gone back and forth on this. It depends on if it's a man or a woman. So if it's a man, men don't really like long messages. I think they're just shorter. And so I will kind of say, oh my gosh, you know what? We have such, oh, sorry, my phone's going up. We have such an amazing event in your area. I'm so excited. When you give me a call, I would love to talk to you about this and see if you can make it. For a woman, I will leave a little bit of information. Like tomorrow night, with the event, we're going to have some plant-based smoothies and kind of tease them. I don't know what we're having, so I could have lied. But I was like, we're going to have cake batter. We're going to have Reese's peanut butter cup. I was like, we're going to have orange Julius. Like, isn't that amazing? Like to be able to have a dessert and, entice them and just leave a message. And then I always follow up with, I'm going to text you the information about the event. Would love it if you could make it.
Cool. And Nalani asks, can you explain a little bit about the voice text? What technology are you using for that?
So the Apple, Doug coerced me into getting everything Apple. And I love that if somebody has another, like they have an iPhone, then I can actually voice text them, which is awesome.
And on Facebook Messenger, you can do voice chats too.
On Facebook Messenger, you can do voice chat. The only thing you have to be careful with, and I don't know why they changed this, you can only talk for a minute. And so you have to be careful because sometimes I can get a little and it can cut you off. It used to have a timer there. It doesn't have a timer anymore. So just be careful with how long you're talking.
Okay. And one thing, and on the mission-driven model, there is a section about events. It even says new events. I think Julie just changed that. And there's a couple of good videos in there that you could watch about this. But in the one that's called Getting Butts in Seats, it goes through steps for inviting. But the number one thing she talks about, the first step is creating a memory jogger. So Karen said she goes to her notebook. So the notebook, and I know Karen comes from a sales background, so she really knows about keeping a list of contacts. I'm pretty sure those are current customers and also prospective customers, people she's met at trade shows, and just everybody she knows is in this notebook. Is that correct?
Yes. And so I used to print out, let's say it was Dr. Sears. I used to actually print out the flyer, and then I would write everybody that said yes or even maybe. And I would write yes, maybe next to it, so I knew what they had. And then, can I bring my friend? And I would put bringing a friend. I make all kinds of notes. So I got away from printing that out because I don't always have that piece of paper with me. So now I actually just use my calendar, and I have the Total Wine event in there anyway. And in the notes section of the event, I just put in there who's coming with those notes, maybe yes, bringing a friend. So that way I can follow up. Like 2 people tonight said they might have to work tomorrow night and they might have overtime. And I said, that's fine. Can I call you tomorrow afternoon? So I have that in the notes so I know that,
So do you use a spreadsheet or something as your main notebook? Do you actually have a paper notebook?
No, I'm like really old. I have an A through Z notebook. Okay. And I don't even know how to get away from that. Like, it's just,
Okay. Yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michelle mentioned the selfie video thing. That's something that's becoming more popular that I don't know if Julie put it on the mission-driven model yet, but that's one of the things that's about to go on there. We were just talking to her about it yesterday. And so that's what birthday dinner is like with Julie. It's we review the changes to the mission-driven model. So that was pretty awesome. So she's going to have a section with, I think a lot of the millennials are using these selfie videos. So they'll just shoot a selfie video, I guess, of them talking, and then they'll text that video to people. And that's pretty cool. It's kind of not only getting the voice in there, Karen, but it's also getting your face in there, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Cool. Well, let's go to Nalani. Nalani, and that was mostly live events, right? I mean, Karen, before we go away from you, for online events, do you have any different things?
If it's a Facebook event, I really don't text that many people. I figure if it's a Facebook event, I just send Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
And that's the most successful way for me.
All right. I know Nalani is another one of our customer queens. And so she's always inviting people and things are always going on. So Nalani, drop some wisdom on us.
I wish I had some to drop. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. What I'm finding is really Karen said it all. It's really about being consistent and remembering that it's not the number one thing in their minds. So we can't take it personally if they don't remember. And what I'm finding is that if we, up until the very last moment, call them again or text again and remind them and say how happy we are and excited we are to see them personally, that it makes a difference. And I'm really looking forward to doing the videos that you just mentioned. I think that's going to really make a difference and an impact. I have one virtual franchisee. Well, she's just about a virtual franchisee, Kiana, who had her first event and had a lot of people. Kiana, are you here? Are you on tonight? Because she said she would. Oh, you're there? Yeah, I'd like for her to share, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Share what she did and tell us about the event that you had.
The first event that I had was at our Midtown Community Center. One of my sideline buddies, Beverly Grandison, turned it out before. We actually put together to have an event there at the community center. And basically what I did was I took my time and we printed out flyers and I put my information on it. And I actually did person to person. I got up in the morning and I went to our Whole Foods store. I went to the library and actually posted where you can actually go to public places and post, the flyers where people can actually look at it. I took the time to do that, and I also went to the grocery store in the parking lot, just, gradually, if I was grocery shopping, just talking to people and say, hey, can I hand out this flyer? I actually took advantage of my children being with me in that time because some of us are home moms, of course. And I took my kids with me, and I actually gave my son and my daughter some flyers to actually pass out, which they did better at passing out than I did because such of the age, and they were so excited about it. So I take advantage of utilizing my kids through that. Some of the other ways, of course, is using the mission-driven model by actually taking advantage of the message blitzing. My mother said, taking the opportunity to follow up with the people that you've spoken to before, making notes of those people that you communicated with that said maybe and said, hey, I had something going on this Wednesday. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. It's the next event, just making it your business to keep in, a note or a log of those people that you spoke to before so that you can follow up with them. I'm just making my business just to continue to follow up with all those people. I also took time when I go to the doctor's office, anytime that I get an opportunity to talk to somebody that's in the community or I've spoken to before, that's an opportunity to invite them again. So taking communications, passing out my business cards, not as much. I've been utilizing, hey, are you on Facebook? Ask that question first and go ahead and take that information right then and there, request a friend. I've been having at least a salad jar party like every 2 weeks. So that's been fun that I always have my flyers of all the events, the major events that's coming out already out on the table so people can see those so they can take them with them when they leave. And also sending out events. So like if I say, hey, I just met them. Hey, are you on Facebook? Get their information. And then I'll send them an invite right then and there to my salad jar party so that they can go ahead and get that information right away. And then I'll let them know, hey, check out the details. And I've made it like in my business to say, if we have an event, like Dr. Nalani has an event every Wednesday, where it's online, and I'll make it my business. If I told somebody last week, I'll say, hey, I follow with them on Monday. So on Monday, I'll text them, hey, how was your weekend? What you got going on today? I just wanted to send you a reminder of the event that we have on a Wednesday. Will you still be able to make it? And a lot of the times they're like, you know what? I forgot. Yeah. And I say, okay, great. Well, I'll see you. I'll send you a reminder on the day of. So I actually send them a reminder on the day of to remind them, I'll send it in the morning. Hey, how was your day? And just sending you a reminder. And just before the meeting starts, I'm inviting and still sending out those text messages, reminding, hey, we still have this event on way. Are you still available to come? And surprisingly, I can invite people weeks and weeks before. The people that really come are those people that you say communicate with right into the last minute. And those people a lot of times have that time and they're like, you know what, I got a couple of minutes, especially when you explain to them you don't even have to leave your house. You know, if you have access to your computer or your cell phone, especially like you said in millenniums, they're really technological. You know, anything that has technology, that's easier for them to communicate. So it's quicker for them to be, hey, I'm driving somewhere. I'm like, well, hey, you don't even have to, you know, stop what you're doing, put your earbuds in, and you can listen. Even if you can't actually watch the slides that's going on, you still can listen to what's going on. So, you know, I just give them different options so they can still, you know, plug in without having to be there at the actual event. So,
wow.
I've been doing.
You are something. Man, I'm excited. I want to go to your event. Alani, what was that? Who was that question for? How many people showed up? Is that for Kiana?
Yes, that was for Kiana because she had that event at the community center and quite a few people showed up.
Yeah, I think it was about 15 people that showed. So collectively, I probably maybe talked to about 50 people, and some that I had talked to before. And like I said, I had been constantly talking to them. It may have been weeks that I talked to them, and I might let a week or so go that I didn't talk to them. And then I'll make it my business to say, hey, you know, I got another event coming up. I make it so exciting, you know, hey, I got another event coming up. I know you weren't able to make it to the last couple ones that I had, but hey, I have one this weekend. You know, are you available? Actually, I did pretty good too. Dr. Nalani had the opportunity to come here to Virginia and spend a little time with us. So that was really fun. And she actually spoke at the Midtown Community Center. And I had the most people actually show up on her event, just inviting the day before her event. And I did it by just going to like the Whole Foods, like I said. And I happened to hand out flyers. I think I came out, I said, I had my last 10 flyers. I think I printed out about 50. And I had 10 left. And I said, I'm not going home until I pass out these last 10 flyers. And it was like, hey, to the last minute. It's the day before. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of what I have. And I did. And I had 10 people show up from that event, from that invite, passing those 10 flyers out. Everybody invited someone. Actually, I handed one to a gentleman who was a real estate. We had a small conversation and he passed me his information. And at the same time, he said, well, I might not be able to come, but my wife will. And sure enough, she came. She brought her sister. She brought her daughter. And they brought a friend. So it was quite amazing to just have passed out that one flyer. And it still had a lot of people to come.
So you go on, you just meet people that you're just being people cold that you don't know already.
Don't know, just knowing. Because I'm a housewife and mother and school teacher. I teach my children homeschool. So like all of that here. So I spend a lot of time at home and I know that I can't get that done. I can only do but so much, you know, communicating via messaging on Facebook or Instagram or whatever those, you know, ways of communicating. The only way I can do that is get out. So I make it my business to go out. If I say I plan a day to go out and have lunch with the kids at the park. And interesting, my kids are the ones that bring a lot of people around. And I'm thinking, me, it's the kids. And they're enjoying, exciting. I go out with our shakes and we're having lunch and everybody's looking at the kids eating salad and, you know, drinking their smoothie. And they're walking by and say, you have beautiful kids, and, you know, thank you. And then they ask them questions about what it is. So that's an opportunity. Any opportunity that somebody opens up to say something to me about it, I make that my business to invite. And just-
So if I'm at Whole Foods and I meet you and you hand me a flyer, you're going to get to talking to me. And by the end of that conversation, are you going to have my information or am I just going to have the flyer?
You're going to have my information and I'm going to have your information.
Okay, so you turn it into a conversation. The flyer starts the conversation.
It starts the conversation. And of course, you know, you can tell when they're cold or if they're warm to what it is that you're going through. So of course, gauge that based off if that person is in a rush, you know, or if that person, you know, seems to be like they're interested. If they actually take the time to look down at the flyer, you know, then I'll take that as a moment. Hey, this is an opportunity to take advantage of it. And then, like I say, you might find someone who's on the phone, you know, and they don't even want to give you eye contact. Well, you know, I could still hand you one if you still, you know, give me an opportunity to give me eye contact. But if not, then I might let that person go.
Okay.
But I do try to get their information. That's the last thing I'm saying. Hey, let me give you my information as well. Let me get yours as well.
Wow. Well, we're gonna be watching you and learning more from you. I can tell you are amazing. That's awesome.
Right. One
Thank
other
you for sharing.
thing, Doug,
Yeah.
one other thing that I found, what she said is so true. The last two people that I had that came were total strangers that came the very day that I gave the flyer to them, and I met them in Whole Foods and had a conversation with them. So that really works.
That is awesome. Love it. All right, let's shift over to Gloria Hare. And Gloria has they have big events. Well, I'll let you share some stories about how you do it, Gloria.
Okay. A lot. I really appreciate what Kiana said and Karen. Awesome. And I do a lot of the same thing. But my story actually started in 2014 when Dr. Phillips was supposed to come in the spring. And we had a half-filled, huge venue. And I was standing at the back of the room when, fortunately, Dr. Stacy Noyes took over because David Phillips could not make it at the last minute. And I thought, I am not going to have that happen again. So I decided we're going to do something different. Well, it was just within a couple of months that up in Durango, they had an event where they had tickets, and the ticket was for like a drink of your choice or an hors d'oeuvre. And I thought, oh, I like that. And it was only $5, and it put some commitment to that. So we started doing that, and by the fall, when we did have Dr. Phillips, we had in the 2 days, because he made up to us since he couldn't make it, he had a little workshop on that Saturday too. So we had 115 people in those 2 days. So that was really awesome. And ever since then, we've had about 5 events, and all of them 80, 90, and 100 people. And really what it is for us is making sure we get our distributors there, making sure everybody knows about it, then checking with customers and seeing if they can bring someone, and then prospects. Every event that we have a flyer. If we have a big event, we do have the little gifts. And usually the gift is very simple. I'll scroll up a few handouts like about the complete shake, the research, that pretty one that has, just the pictures, and then a chewable sample and maybe a complete sample. So that's basically what we do. And for most of my events too, now this one is not a ticketed event that we're doing next week, and this is a cancer. This is what we call Stories of Hope Through the Power of Nutrition. And I write on there, like Karen was mentioning, and I just write it on the flyer, and I keep all my flyers. I have a folder, and I go back and see if, I highlight them if they come, that type of thing, and check with them for the next time. For this one, there's no ticket. But the verbiage, it's pretty powerful because it's about cancer. And I did email that out first, and then that gives me permission in my mind to, and I put it on our Wildly Healthy Facebook group. It gives me permission to call them up to the last minute. And we do, just like Karen was saying, call them to the last minute. And in the email, verbiage is key. And so I send something like, come hear some powerful experiences from those who have cancer, had cancer, and or fear cancer, and the hope they have found. You will not want to miss this event. And then I always say, please RSVP. So that gives me permission to call them also. People that I actually can talk to on the phone, I do the regular verbiage that most people do. I thought of you because. When I have Tower Garden events, I'll say, I thought of you because you expressed a huge interest in the Tower Garden growing system. We had a lot of people at the county fair this past week, and a lot of them are actually coming to the Stories of Hope Through the Power of Nutrition, the cancer event next week. I have about 15 that have confirmed. And that's really how I do it. And what Karen said about inviting, 70, 80, 100 people is very true, to get that many people to come. Verbiage is key, though. You can check that out on Mission Driven Model.
Yeah, on Mission Driven Model, remember, under Building Your Customer Base, there's a little tab. It's all the way in the top left in that section called Events. And there's a sheet that just has all verbiage for different types of events. And that's really helpful to use. And
One
Go
more
ahead.
thing, we have found that food attracts, and that's what our $5 tickets usually are. You could make them $3 tickets or whatever you want to do. But we usually have them at a big venue like with the doctors at the Marriott here. And for us, that's about an $800 or $900 event. For you guys, it's probably way more than that. But it does pay for itself, and we do pack out the rooms.
That is awesome. So one thing I just learned from Gloria that I know that I'm not taking advantage of is that she's inviting a lot of her current customers. So what she's really doing when not only inviting current customers, but inviting team. We all have a lot of team members who aren't really, really engaged in the business. Maybe they're really certified customers or family plan people. She's creating a culture of learning in the community. I mean, we have a community. We have groups on Facebook. But that's a really cool thing, is that you're just continuing education for everybody, which is solidifying them even deeper as customers. So that's awesome. Awesome. Well, Sharon, do you have any closeout comments? I know we have everybody on this Zoom. We have a Healthy Living Revolution event Wednesday night. And we want to try to get people there. That's for business and product. But if there's any final tips, or if any of the other leaders have a tip, we'll close it out.
Okay, well, I definitely, if somebody else has some other tips, definitely. Well, I like to get myself excited about the event first. I think you have to sell yourself on the event. Can you guys hear me, Dougie?
Yeah.
So like for Stephen Ritz, he's coming down here. And so I've been kind of going on the internet, kind of getting excited about him and learning tidbits so that I could then make sure that I'm passionate when I talk about that. So like for Wednesday night, you know, hopefully you can get excited about the fact that all of our team are going to be on there and they're going to share how their lives have been changed through Juice Plus. You know, there's going to be good stories. And then same with when you're selling, whether it's a three-way call, I like to say you're selling education, or whether you're selling people on getting to an event, you're really selling them on what is it going to do for them, or what has it done for you, you know? So thinking about the people and the stories and saying, you know, I really want you to hear their story, you know, whether or not anything happens from it, you know, that's up to you. But I know, you know, that this would be great for you. And so really just getting across that passion and everything. And then when you have a big name speaker coming to your town, like Stephen Ritz or Dr. David Phillips, or they're on the webinars, like we just had, I can't think, but we have Dr. Sears, we have Dr. David Phillips, they're all coming on our webinars. The fact that they are major doctors, and if you start reading their bios and you really get into what it is, who they are, and you just invite, whether the people come or not, you are having a conversation. So events cause conversation, whether the people come or not, and you're giving legitimacy to what we do. Like even if you're just talking about, you know, what we're going to do at Total Wine or what we're going to do at a salad jar party, it just gives us more credibility and legitimacy than just popping some pills, selling some pills, you know? So the more you can describe what's going to happen, what practical instances. So there's 3 P's, making it really personal, being very persistent up to the last hour. And I love the way our leaders shared that they have better results because they go through those no's. They go through the hundreds of people to get to the 10. So persistence, personal, persistence, and what was the third one? Practical. Those are the 3 P's to remember. Make it practical, like what are they going to get out of it?
Excellent. And I love what Jules put up there too. Another part of the personal is to almost think of like when you do the 3-way call invite and you say like, you would love to hear my friend's story. You know, so it's your friend. So like when you're inviting to an event like Wednesday, you know, just get excited about the fact that you're close to those people that are speaking. And out of all the people speaking, somebody in there is pretty close to you in your upline, and we can get excited about that and just make it personal. And yeah, that's great. And remember, guys, there's a ton of events. I know when Sharon puts out the event thing, I even got in trouble because I wasn't aware of an event last week, and Sharon's like, how can you not know there's not that event? You know, and it's like, because when all events come out, it's like I'm a little bit overloaded by all those events. So we don't have to go to all the events. Of course, I have to be aware of all the events, honey. I know. But but I don't have to really invite to all those events. We can pick the event we're going to really go after and go really hard and really make sure we get to, because it's impossible to invite, 100 people to if there's 5 events during the week. So you got to choose the events, the ones that resonate with you, the ones that you're really excited about, and then share that excitement, and we're going to have more success. And that's really going to make the difference. That's going to help you build your business and help you share our mission even greater. So
can I say one thing too, Doug?
Yes.
This isn't really inviting, but what I do for my live events is I always have goodie bags, and I go to the dollar store and I get little bags with and I'll put a gummy sample and a bar sample and a little water, and that makes a huge difference because then they're more apt. I don't know, every time I've given them to my guests, they feel so special. They're like, oh, that's so sweet. And like, to me, I'm like, it's a product plug, but there you go. But they're more apt to come again because I want them to come again, and I want them to bring people next time. I get tons of referrals because I really cherish my customers and my friends.
that's good. Well, I learned a lot. I hope everybody else did. And I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to get to work, honey, on this.
And don't forget that Wednesday is about the business, too. So we don't always have so many business events that this is a time to really say, hey, I want you to see our community, hear their stories, see if you might want to do this with me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna sign off. I'm really excited. I can't say what it might be for next week, but we might have a really cool team talk for next week with a special guest. So look out for it, and we'll have this video up so you can share with your team. And we love you guys, and it sounds great. We'll see you on Wednesday at the HLR. Good night.
Good night.
Right?
Bye.